What's going on everyone, Fantasy Monkey here and welcome back to another buy low, sell high video. In this episode we're going to give you a few players we think you should go after in a buy low and sell high situation. But before we start, if you're new to the channel and are finding these videos helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe with notifications on. But anyways, with all this being said, let's get into the video. Our first buy low target is Pederson of the Vancouver Canucks. It's been somewhat of a disappointing season for Pederson, as I'm sure a lot of fantasy GMs expected more from him.
You were the chosen one!
He was doing decently though. In 26 games he put up 21 points. Like I said, not ideal for his average ADP, but it's still good enough for fantasy. This alone made him a good buy low target, but what makes him even more of a buy low is him being out with an injury. He hasn't played since March 2nd because of an upper body injury, but looks like he should be coming back here soon. A lot of fantasy GMs are frustrated with him at the moment, especially the ones who are competing to make the playoffs and need a star player to help them. So go ahead and offer low if you can. Pederson is definitely worth it. He's a very talented player and I see him coming back from the injury and having a point per game pace to end the season here to help Vancouver make the playoffs. There's also value here if you're in a keeper league. If you know a GM in your league who's annoyed with Pederson, I recommend you take advantage and offer low. Our next buy low target is Trocheck of the Carolina Hurricanes. Trocheck has been arguably the best sleeper and waiver wire addition for fantasy hockey this year. In 24 games, he's tallied 24 points while providing really good peripheral stats in terms of hits, shots, and power play points. So you're probably thinking then, how is this guy a buy low target? Well, similar to Pederson, he's been out with an injury. Trocheck hasn't played since March 9 because of an upper body injury, and some GMs can't afford to have him on IR for much longer, especially the ones who are grinding to make the playoffs. He's on track to come back here soon, so if you know someone like this, go and offer low for Trocheck and enjoy the benefits once he comes back. Our final buy low player is defenseman Petrangelo of the Vegas Golden Knights. Petrangelo has been okay this year, but he's been plagued with injuries which have limited his production. He's only played in 18 games this season. In those 18 games though, he's put up 10 points. Similar to our other buy low targets, Petrangelo has been out with an injury. The Golden Knights defender hasn't played since March 6 because of an upper body injury. He's on track to come back soon here, so he's a good defenseman to buy low on. He's the top D-man for a really good Vegas team and can be very valuable for fantasy when he's healthy and going. If there's a GM in your league who's looking to trade Petrangelo, I suggest you try and offer low. He can be a solid addition for you here for the rest of the season. Also, he's only 85% rostered somehow, so if for some reason he's floating on your waiver wire, snatch him up as soon as possible. He's coming back soon. And now to move on to our sell high players. If you can sell high on Girard, I recommend you do it. He's been quite the surprise this season and has exploded offensively since Cale Makar went down with injury. The defenseman has 24 points in 29 games this season, which puts him up with the top D-man across the league. Yes, this is a consequence of extended ice time on the top power play unit and exposure to Colorado Stars, but give the guy credit, he's been really good. The problem here is that Makar is back, which pushes Girard off the top power play unit and lowers his usage. Only 8 of his points were from the top power play unit, so there shouldn't be too much of a drop off as he will still man the second power play unit. If you're able to sell high on Girard, do it. Try to get a household player or a defenseman who is somewhat more proven. But if you can't, I still think he will be solid to keep for the rest of the season here. Colorado is really good and his usage is really good. He's having a breakout season regardless and will still be useful. Our next sell high player is Buchnevich of the New York Rangers. The winger has exploded offensively recently. He's put up a total of 16 points just in his last 12 games, and in 30 games this season has a total of 29 points. Although he hasn't put these numbers up consistently, he still put those points up. He continues to lead the Rangers in the scoring race and is in for a nice raise at the end of the season as he's currently an RFA. Because he is hot and his numbers are really good, I suggest you sell high. He's a very streaky player and the last thing you want is him to go cold in your playoff matchup. I recommend you trade him for a more consistent and proven player. I'm sure that won't be too hard because Buchnevich's numbers are comparable to some solid players. If you aren't able to sell high on him though, he's still a solid player to have, and remember, he's playing for a contract. And our final sell high player is goaltender Demko of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm sure fantasy GMs are loving him right now.
Hey look,
Now you set my soul on fire.
He's been so good and is legitimately carrying the Canucks. The thing is here is that his workload is too much to sustain, and I see him coming back down to earth. The last thing you want is fatigue or injury to occur while you're in a playoff matchup. He's been eating so much pucks as of late, more than most goalies. At one point in the month he started 8 games straight. Yes, he was great in them, but the question is, can he sustain that workload for the rest of the season? I'm not saying he's going to be shit. No, he's still going to be solid, but not a top 3 fantasy goalie in my opinion like he is right now. I'd still prefer goalies like Fleury, Grubauer, Hellebuck, and Vasilevsky because they are more proven and play for better teams at the end of the day. If you can sell high in Demko and maybe acquire one of those goalies I mentioned above, I think you'll be laughing. If you can't or don't want to though, by all means don't worry. Demko will be solid for the rest of the season here. And that's it for this episode of Buy Low, Sell High. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.